The weather outside was overcast. It was raining lightly, and the action was taking place in some office. Hunting Pen Team, our heroine's name was Musin. You know, all the players on our team are undoubtedly the best in the world, said the teacher. She was pointing her wand at a board with a pentagram on it and one of their staff, who possessed very good qualities judging by his stats. Yes, I know, Musin replied shyly with a tremor in her voice. The teacher adjusted her glasses, was more of a chesty and sexy girl. She was wearing a sleeveless white shirt, but she was bursting with these sizes in the chest area. Also a short skirt that she didn't want to take her eyes off of. Our heroine was watching all of this. Something happened and the teacher took notice. Musin sat with her luscious legs, her face glistening with a blush. You would think it was from the sexuality of her companion. "Hey, Musin, what's wrong with you?" exclaimed the girl. She stepped closer and lightly touched her forehead. "Wow, you have a fever," keeping her hand on her forehead, the teacher said. There was something sparkling in Musin's eyes. It was a girl with pink hair wearing a white shirt and a red bow tie. She was very nice and asked to continue the class, thinking she was okay. Even from the dale, it was obvious that Musin was hot. The girl with the brown hair pressed her hand to her body, giving even more volume to her forms, reached for her glasses, and took them off, no longer wanting to continue because of Musin's bad feeling. Those volumes kept her distracted for a moment. Her bra, black as night, began to peek out from under her shirt. Musin grabbed her head because there was no other way. In this room, the sexuality and heat was off the scale, if only a little more, and there would be a fire. Taking her cheeks and squeezing them a little, she moved even closer to her. Musin was even more embarrassed, and she said, "Look, taking care of your physical fitness is also a compulsory course for professional players." She leaned even closer and touched her forehead with her forehead and continued, "If you can't train at your best, nothing good will come of it. This time, you succeeded. Anyway, go home and rest. I'll call you for a practice test next time." Musin wanted to say something, but only I had time to say it. At the same moment, the teacher interrupted her and lightly threatened her. "If you don't agree, you're going to get it bad." Her silhouette resembled some kind of model. She was gorgeous. Musin stared at her breasts, a childlike happiness on her face. And she muttered, "I understand, I'll go and rest." She went outside. It was still raining, and she walked slowly through the puddles so as not to get completely soaked. Before coming to the course, she took care of herself and took a yellow umbrella like the sun. She was walking, and in her mind was spinning to become a professional player. It really is a hassle. She remembered why she was there. Musin, that's not the heroine's real name. Her name was Yi. Her older sister was in the hospital, and to make sure she didn't miss that class, she asked for it. It was the request of her life. She looked exactly like Yi. With tears in her eyes, she asked for her errand. She had something on her arm that helped her by getting treatment. "Pretend to be me and go to the screening and tryouts for the team instead of me," she asked. She was walking home, still dripping rain, and she thought, just play the game instead of my sister. But suddenly she stopped and saw a girl sitting on the ground. She had gorgeous white hair, but she was sitting there just soaking in the rain. Her clothes were all wet and starting to show through, and all her forms were in full view. Her skirt was very short and everything was visible. He looked at her and saw her older sister in her. It was probably all about the temperature. Even though she looked a lot like her, their hair color was different, but they had the same in big shapes. "Why are you here?" Sister asked her, running up to her. The girl turned around and asked, "Are you?" She had very pretty eyes, and her big shapes from above even overlapped her legs. She threw back her umbrella and ran toward her, treading in puddles. She just jumped in with her, grabbing her with all her might, and pressed against her chest and said, "If you stay here in the rain, you'll get sick." The girl answered her in surprise. You're mixed up." "I am." "Not your sister." You took her by the shoulders and began to examine. She moved her nose to her neck and began to sniff. The girl blushed. "It's my sister's scent," said you. Her breasts began to rest against the girl's chest, making them even bigger. This made the girl even more embarrassed and flushed. She stood there and felt this shyness in her body. Their bodies and faces were too close. You held the girl's leg. They looked into each other's eyes, and their breathing was slow and quiet. "Let's go home, sis. I miss you so much." I said. Because of this close contact, the girl felt that Ji's forehead was warmer than usual. "You're so hot. Is it the fever? Is the fever making her confused and confusing me with her sister?" The stranger thought. I clung to her and said, "After my sister left home, I was so lonely. I really work hard. I work a lot on streamers. I also work hard on tryouts and move toward being a professional player." I kept hugging the girl, but not having my sister around makes me a little sad. Obviously, I work hard for my sister. They sat on the ground and you hugged Yi. The girl gently stroked her back and mouthed, "Ah, sweet child, sweet child, sweet child." I thought to myself, this girl, if she has a fever and she is alone on the street, there is absolutely nothing she can do. No one will care about her. I picked up her umbrella, which she threw away because of the rush of joy she felt when she saw a girl who looked like her sister. Their shirts were wet and see-through. You gave the baize to the girl to keep her warm. They both got under an umbrella so they wouldn't keep getting wet, and started chatting. "Should I take you home first? Isn't my sister staying home tonight? It's been a long time since we've slept together, hasn't it?" The girl put her hand to his face and brushed away her tears, looking very sad that her sister didn't want to spend the night together. "Ah, yes, yes. Let's go home together, and so. Where is our home? I haven't come for a long time, and I kind of forgot where it is," said the girl, still holding the umbrella over them. "Then let me show you," he exclaimed cheerfully. "It's obvious you have a fever." The girl kept looking at her. They ended up at home, and Yi collapsed on the bed with her face pressed against the pillow. That would be troublesome for my sister," she muttered. The girl wet a towel and wrung it out in the sink. She walked into the room holding the wet towel in her hands. Why did it happen that I followed a stranger into her house? But streams. She saw a gaming computer in the room with 2 monitors and a microphone, just like a professional streamer. Wants to be a professional streamer. Wants to be a professional player. This kid plays Nova too, right? In that case, very likely she's a fan of mine. She's so cute, just going to treat it as a favor to be given to the fans, thought the girl. She looked at the Yu lying on the bed with a quick glance. We should take off her wet clothes, she thought. She began to slowly pull her skirt off. This made Yu woke up and looked at the girl embarrassed, not understanding what is happening. From what she saw, the girl was surprised. She took a better look at her intimate area and thought, "Why is that bulging out?" What? An epiphany of the whole situation fell upon her. What? It's a guy, she shouted. It was so loud that you could hear everything even outside, even though all the windows were closed. You looked at the girl because of the heat with a face full of incomprehension and said, "Big sister?" He was lying on the bed and the stranger was holding this skirt in her hands in total confusion. In her eyes you could see feelings of love for her, he said, "Hold me," and held out his arms to her. It happened 10 years ago at a local hospital. Sitting in a hospital